Before we get started, how many people do not oversee employees, meaning that you do not approve employees?
I don't yet, but I will be.
Okay.
Then stick around for the second half.
Yeah, so for those of you that do not oversee employees, you're just here to check how, you can view your time and, enter any leave if needed, et cetera, et cetera. I'll be talking to y'all first, and then y'all get to leave early. So that's supposedly we're waiting a little bit for more people, but just to let y'all know, y'all won't be clocking in or out. You will have a schedule and it will pre-populate those hours. And all you would have to do is check and say, okay, yes, I did work those times. No, I was out sick today, that day, or I was here at work, but then I didn't feel well, so I left. And I'll show you how to do, how to change those hours. All right, so I guess we should go ahead and get started. So if people come in, they'll just come in. So good morning, everyone. Just to introduce myself, my name is Juan Grimaldo. I work for TimeClock Plus, and that is located in Texas. So West Texas, so where all the cowboys are at, or the ranches. And you're gonna hear me say y'all a lot, so I'm sorry about that. Now, to begin, like I mentioned, I'm gonna first talk to what I like to call the administrative employees. So people that have administrative positions, but they're still also employees, but don't oversee anybody. I'll talk to y'all first. And the first thing that I'm going to show you is the web clock. And what we're going to use the web clock for is to request time off. So even though you still have your pre-populated hours and all that, you still have to ask, for vacation, 2 weeks in advance or a month in advance. And that's what the web clock we're going to use. Now, you'll see that there's a clock in and clock out buttons. You're not going to use that. Again, if you have a schedule, it's going to repopulate. These buttons are for your per diem employees, your student employees when eventually they get into the system. So they're going to use this website to clock in and clock out. To get to this page and the other page that I'm going to talk about, which both of us are going to see, both of you. To get to these two pages, that's going to be under your MyBooks portal. And then on the employee apps, you're going to see two links, one in yellow, one in blue. The yellow one is this web clock right here. And the one in blue is going to be this manager page. Now, it's kind of misleading because it's going to say TimeClock Plus for managers or something of that sort. But it should probably say something a little bit.
We're going to change that tooltip text as soon as we can get someone to do it.
Right, and that's because both employees and managers are going to use this, more specifically the administrative employees. All right, so to request time off, I'm going to log in as an employee named Jeff. He's just a fake employee, doesn't exist. His ID number is number 3, but your ID number is the one that you should know, your employee ID. So ID number 3.
Not the search number.
We're all going to learn it.
No.
Sure.
Your employee ID number that Bugs gave you.
One on the back of your ID card.
Good point.
All right, so I type number 3, and I'm going to press log on to dashboard. That's at the very bottom in case you don't see it from over there. If I could zoom in, it's probably going to blow up the screen here. So I log on to dashboard, and not much is going on here. It's pretty blank. It's pretty, mellow. There is a view menu at the top right corner. I'll just go ahead and quickly show you what that looks like. So under view, the most important piece here would be accruals. So you will be able to see your accrual balances from here. Now, that being said, though, Jeff doesn't have any balances. But when you start using the system and we get the ball rolling, we will enter accrual balances in here. So you'll see your vacation, your sick, I always forget this one, your emergency, et cetera, et cetera. You'll see those balances out there. Messages, every once in a while, whenever you request leave, you will get a message saying your leave for X day or X amount of hours has been approved by, and that'll give you the name of your manager, your supervisor. You will get 2 messages, one via email and then one from here. So If you want emails, or if you look at your emails more often, then that's great. You can look at those emails. Then you can ignore these. It's just going to list your messages out there, but again, you're going to get them via email, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so let's get into the request process. So I'm going to click on requests. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. And when you click on request employees, you'll see a calendar. So for Jeff, if I want to request time off for, let's say, the 13th, I can come in and click on the plus sign on the 13th, right next to it. And it'll show up another window. And from here, I just want to verify, make sure, yes, that is 13th. I want that day. If I messed up and said, no, I want, the 16th or, a Wednesday, I picked the wrong day, you can always come in here and click on the calendar icon right next to the date and pick it from here. So if you mess up, you don't have to hit cancel and then go back to the day and, start all over again. You can just quickly grab another date from here. Now,
Question? Vicky, you can comment on this too. Historically, we have been instructed to this activity takes the place of the paper form. However, it had always been our procedure to do that post the time off. In other words, don't do this until after you come back so that there's any issues. So does this structure change that, or can we still, what do you think
according to Dr. Chandler, what she wants to have happen is if you know you're going to be taking a fair amount of vacation, you're going to Disney World in November, put it in now. It's okay.
Okay.
If you don't go or something occurs, and one will explain this, that could be taken away, it could be fixed.
Okay.
But at this point now is if you were out sick yesterday, you came in today you should log your time.
Okay.
Okay, so we wanted this to be more in real time rather than that.
Okay.
Yeah, what's nice about this is all this is in real time. So employees, you enter requests, the manager will get a notification, and it gets approved, that gets sent out. If you come back the next day and say, oh, I accidentally picked the wrong day, or I'm actually going to come into work on that day, so, delete that time, they can do that in real time. It's just like that.
Not unlike what we're doing with Outlook, to schedule meetings and so forth.
Right. From what I hear, y'all do it after payroll is done, and leave is like processed after payroll, so everything's done in 1 or 2 weeks. From what I hear. So no, this is in real time. This is
okay.
So that's actually a good question. But moving on here, notice that the start time, the hours, that's pre-populated. That is because the system is smart, quote unquote, enough to pick a template that I have out there for this person. And you'll notice on the left, I have a template there that says classified leave request. That's just one. Eventually, we will have more templates in here that you can pick out. So all you would have to do is click on the template that pre-populates the information. Now, for the classified, from what I remember or from what I hear, you can take leave in 15-minute increments. So that's why I have 15 minutes in here. That's not to say I can come in and change it to 30, 45, a whole day even. So in this, for this employee, he works 7.5 hours. So I'll just put 7.5 hours in there to equate a whole day. At the bottom, I have days. How many days do I want to request time off? I can go up to 28 days. So if I want a whole week, I can set my request on Monday, tell it that I want 5 days off, and it'll give me, it'll pre-fill those 5 days. That being said, though, be careful on how many days you request at a time. Because again, we can go up to 28 days in our arbitrary number, but that also includes the weekends. So if you don't work the weekends and you say, I want Friday off, and you said, I want 3 days, thinking it's going to give me Friday, Monday, Tuesday, it's actually going to give you Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if that ever happens, really all you need to do is,
Excuse me, hi.
Is request for that Friday off. And then go on a Monday, request that Monday, and just say, I want 2 days, and I'll give you Monday, Tuesday. That's all you would have to For the sake of this example, I'm gonna set it to just one. And leave code, notice that it's grayed out. I can't do anything because the template already gave it to me. It's classified vacation. It just cuts off the vacation, the word vacation. So then I'm gonna hit save, and then it adds that pending timeout. So once I request this day, the manager would get a notification in, again, both places by email or in TimeClock Plus. So they'll get a message saying, hey, your employee requested this day for this many hours. And then from there, they can go in and approve it or deny it. Right now, we see that it shows up in color. If it's been approved, it'll show up in green. And if it's been denied, it'll show up in orange. So if you come up to this calendar and see a blue, okay, so they haven't responded yet. You come back again and you see a green color, okay, they did, and it's been accepted, great. Or it's orange, well, darn, I'm not gonna take vacation that day. But like I said, it's instantaneous. So as soon as it's requested and approved, it gets sent out to, whatever day, maybe 2 weeks in advance, a month in advance, it'll show up, it'll pre-populate. If you need to change that leave, you thought you were gonna take vacation on a Friday, but it's actually on the 16th on a Monday, you can let your manager know and they'll change it for you. Or if you're not taking that leave at all anymore, again, you can tell your manager and then they can delete that time for you. That way, you can get back those vacation hours or that leave time. Because again, everything's instantaneous. You're gonna have your balances and it's gonna update, right away.
So once something is approved, we can't change it, our manager has.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, that being said though, right now, since it's pending, since it's blue, make a mistake. Oh, I don't want the 13th. I'm gonna delete it. So right click. Oh, we don't have the delete option. We'll add it there. You can't delete it. I'm not gonna take the full 7.5 hours. I'm gonna take half a day. You can right click.
I
And
can't find the volume anywhere. It's a stupid bus meeting.
Somebody might be using a
Blue jeans, yeah.
blue jeans,
we are using blue jeans.
Yeah.
They probably just didn't read it.
keep talking.
The room's possessed. But you can come in here and edit that.
As long as it's in blue, you can edit it.
As long as it's in blue, you can edit. If it's green or red, you can't, but just talk to your manager, they'll handle it.
So I do have a question as well.
Yeah.
Over summer, we're not open on Fridays, and we're given the option of either extending Monday through
Let's not
Thursday.
go to summer.
So don't worry about it.
No, let's not talk about summer.
Never mind. Ignore
Summer
me.
hours is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
No. That is, do not speak of summer hours. Sorry. Exactly.
Sorry.
No, sorry about that.
We're thinking for the future.
We're going to have that next, but we want to get the system up and running as it is right now.
Okay.
We'll have to go completely.
Any more questions about leave though?
Don't have to do a summer hour.
No questions? Okay, so yeah, just a summary here. The web clock is for this group of employees. It's strictly for requesting leave. So you can't use the clock in and clock out buttons. Other employees, the hourly per diem / student employees, they'll use this to clock in and clock out. So for you managers / approvers, how many people do you have that are hourly, that they're per diem or they're student employees?
A lot.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So yeah, your guys are those four. They are gonna punch in and punch out. It's could be on the web clock here on the computer, or they're gonna have a physical time clock. Now, I don't want to get into much detail, but it's super easy for them. All they do is enter their ID number and press a button. If they're going to come in the morning, clock in. If they're going to go to lunch, there's a break button. There's a lunch button. If they're going to go home at the end of the day, there's a clock out button. It's really easy for them. Literally what you're kind of seeing on this page, ID number, and then they'll just press a button.
One other question having to do with timing. Let's say, strictly hypothetical situation, that a week after the fact or 2 weeks after the fact, somebody realized that they didn't enter that time. Is there any, can one go scroll back into the previous month or previous week or previous day without any lockout?
So for the employees here, yes, they can go and say, okay, well, I actually worked this time, or I took leave this other time. They can do that. But the other employees that have to punch in and punch out, they don't have that capability.
They can't stop.
The manager would have to go in and make those corrections.
Okay.
But I'll walk you through.
Understood. Thank you.
So
The other issue with that, Jim, is how's payroll going to know you did that? So we still have to come up with a mechanism for that, some sort of process. It may be as simple as the way it is now. Just make sure that you email payroll, let them know that so and so needs to have time added or removed, or if it's a leave situation, you can notify HR. But you like Juan said, the software allows you to do that, but it doesn't mean you're going to be able.
No, understood. I'm just trying to think of what's the worst that could happen.
Yeah, they could have told us a little tutorial video around. 5 minutes watching.
Then
Okay.
if it's like way in the past, then yeah, it has to go to payroll. If it's like yesterday or maybe last
within the
week,
pay period.
if it's within the pay period, you can.
Just thinking in terms of the calendar, it's just Friday was a September, today's October. I mean, there's some calendars lock you out of certain things.
No, as long as if it's in that pay period, then it'll allow it.
Okay.
If it's after the fact, then it won't.
Okay.
Did you say that the employees were going to be able to go back and add that in themselves, or the managers have to?
The managers.
Okay.
So there's a distinction on the employees. The employees in this group that when I asked if you don't oversee anyone, but you have hours that you still have to maintain. Those can. That's this distinction. I like to call those administrative employees. I don't know where I got that name, but those people, that's because you have a pre-filled schedule and you just have to confirm that yes, you worked those hours, or no, I worked less hours, or I took leave on that time, and you would have to go in and correct it. So you can't go in based on that pay period and correct it. Employees, regular employees that are hourly and are just punching in and out, they don't have that capability because they're punching in and out. So if they say I punched in at 8 o'clock, they can't go back and say, I'm going to give myself one more hour and clock myself in at 7. They can't do that. They have to go through a manager to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
What about, one more question. I
Yeah,
apologize. What
yeah.
about employees that have multiple positions?
Employees that have multiple positions, they can clock in at one position
Mm-hmm.
and then clock in at another position. So if they're working at one building and then they have to go and to another building, they can switch positions.
Okay.
If they need a clock out because they might have take like a lunch break in between,
Okay.
that's up to them. That's it could be multiple scenarios.
Okay.
But either way, they can switch.
They're able to swap. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I moved out of the web clock, this page that we were just in, and I'm going to move over to the manager page. The name is misleading, especially because employees, administrative employees, you're going to use this as well to view your time. To log in, I'm going to log in as Charles Kane, and I'm just going to enter his user ID, which is his last name, first initial. So it kind of follows your network ID in here on campus. And the password is, I'm just going to type it in, but whenever you have your login, it's going to be BD and then the 6-digit birthday, kind of like what Bugs does whenever you set up your password for the first time here. Now, eventually when you log on or you log in into this page, I would recommend changing your password to what you're currently using for MyBucks. The reason for that is eventually when you update your password under MyBucks or under Bucks County, network, it's also going to update TimeClock Plus's password. So you just have one password to remember. You're not going to have, two different passwords that, you got to remember one for MyBucks and then you also have to remember TimeClock Plus. Eventually you're going to have just one and then, it's going to update when you update your password. So I'm going to log in here as this guy. Hopefully I spelled it right. Okay. All right. So I am going to ignore this page for now because I'm still going to talk to the administrative employees. Approvers, just to let you know, I am going to come back to this page. This is going to be useful for you because this will essentially tell you any information that you're going to need in regards to approving time or making any corrections for an employee. But employees, where I'm going to go is the hours menu, individual hours. Now you might be wondering, well, you're under individual hours and I see a list of people. Am I going to see myself? Yes, you are. When you log in, you're going to see your name and it's going to show your hours and you're only going to see you. Right now, because I'm training both groups at the same time, I kind of need to have a list of employees in here. But right now, I'm logged in as Charles Kane, and Charles Kane is ID number 4. So I'm going to click on him. And then I'm going to scroll a little bit down, and I'm going to see some hours in here. So these are hours based on his schedule, and it just pre-populated and threw them out there for him. And when I scroll down, and I have a flare here, and when I scroll down, notice that this week shows up as well. So October 2nd to the 6th. So those hours are already in there, they're pre-populated. Now, at this point, I'm going to use the scenario of I was out sick. Let's say I was out sick on September 29th. So what I'm going to tell the system is I was out sick on this day, I was not working. And just to scroll, essentially what I'm going to do is change that full time, telling the system that I was out working. I'm going to change this to say that I was out on leave. And to do this, I'm going to double click on that day and it'll open up a window. And it has 9 to 5 in here. That's the schedule that Jeff would work. But for the job code, it's set to full time. I'm going to click on that and it's going to give me a list of codes out here. Now, just to pause for a little bit, let me zoom in. Oh, I cut it off. I thought I could scroll out. But just to pause here, there's some codes out there that you can ignore, like the full-time administrative. Full-time is just telling us that they've worked. College closed, if something happens to school and they have to close down, the manager would, can enter that time or payroll would enter that time. But the two codes that I want to focus on are in purple, administrative vacation and bereavement. Right now, those are the only codes available for Jet and in the system. But eventually, we will have more codes out there. We'll have sick, emergency, essentially all the codes that you would need, they'll show up on this list. For the sake of this training, we're just going to keep it simple and have 2 codes. But it still follows the same pattern. So if I was sick, I don't have a sick code, but I would pick out sick, but for the meantime, I'll choose vacation. And before I finish this segment, I'm going to leave a note. And leaving notes, both employees and approvers, admins, this will save you a lot of headaches in the long run because this will cover your grounds. Why did I change that day to leave? Or why was this employee's hours changed from, let's say, 8 o'clock to 7 a.m. or, basically day-to-day occurrences when you go in at incorrect time or you're making changes. Because a note, you can explain why you did it. So I took leave here. Let's say I was sick, so I had the flu. I had the flu that day. I don't need a novel. I don't need a story. I just need a short and simple. I had the flu. So then I'm gonna hit save. Now, because I'm taking the vacation code, is telling me, hey, you don't have a balance. So whatever days you have out there, or however many days you're taking out, it's gonna take you to the negative. So you're not gonna see this message when you put in an enter leave or when you're requesting time off, because you'll have a balance. And unless you used up all your hours, you're not gonna see this message. So I can just as easily hit OK, that's fine. But you'll notice that on that day, it now changes from full-time to leave. Any questions about that? All right. So that's how you can go in and say, the whole day I took leave. What if yesterday you were out sick, you didn't feel well, let's say 3 o'clock, and you need to mark that time. So you were working so many hours, but then by 3, you just didn't feel well and you had to go home. You do have the option of splitting time. So right now we just have the 9 to 5, we just have one segment. We can split it into and say, okay, from 9 to 3, I was working, or from 3 to 5, I was out sick. So I'll pick October 2nd here for my example. And to split this time, to split my 9 to 5, I'm going to right click and split segment by link. So when I click on that, it shows me another window. Here I have my 9 to 5. It hasn't split it yet. It's waiting for me to do that. And on the far left, let's see if I can zoom in. No, it cuts it off. On the far left, you're going to see a little icon. It's going to say split, and it's a little square with a little diagonal line. All you do is click on that, and it'll split it. Now, because it doesn't know how many hours you want, it just splits it 50-50. But from here, if you know how many hours you've worked, you can come in and enter how many hours. Or if you're like me and you know, well, I worked at this time. I don't know how many hours that was, but I worked up until this time. You can come in and enter what time you left, what time you left out. I typed in 3 for the end time, for the however many hours I have left or sick. It still says 1, but if I click out of it, it says 3. But notice that also towards the left, it recalculated all my time. So it knows that, okay, from 9 to 3, that's 6 hours or 5.5 with the lunch included. And then from 3 to 5, that's 2 hours. So it recalculated everything for me. And now for these 2 hours, I got to tell the system that I wasn't working, I was out sick. So if I had the sick code, I would have picked it. So I'll choose administrative and then enter a note. Zoom out a little bit here, and then I'll just hit the save button. And you'll notice that on October 2nd, it's split it in 2. So my 5.5, because it's taking that 30-minute lunchtime, quote unquote, and then my 2 hours of leave. Are there any questions about editing?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we're submitting our time beforehand, and then we're also going in and saying that we took it, doing both?
Right. You can think of it that way. And again, it's real time. So even though you're making these changes, making these corrections, you still have someone above you that says, okay, well, this makes sense, or, well, no, I'm going to talk to her about this, because I remember she left earlier or she left later, so just that. And, it basically, there's going to be an approval process, which is the next topic. But are there any more questions? Okay. Approvers, managers, you also have the capability of editing time. So essentially what I showed for the employees, you can do the same for other employees when you're going in correcting time. Just double click, it'll take you to this window and you can edit their time in or time out. If you gotta split their time, you can right click and split it. You can also do that as well. Now, one more thing, employees, and then I'll let y'all go, is the approving process, how that will look like. And I'm gonna zoom way in here because I want to focus on these three columns, M, E, and the O. So M is for manager, that's the approver. E is for employee, so employees, that's what you're gonna use. And O, we're not gonna use that at all. We're gonna ignore it. It's just gonna sit there, look pretty. That's for payroll. So that doesn't concern us. So to approve my time as an employee, I really all I have to do is place a check mark under the E column for whatever day I'm looking at. And when I do that, you're gonna notice that I get 2 buttons. So all I did is checked it. Checked it, I get 2 buttons. If I am gonna approve it, I just hit apply. If I just made a mistake, I'm not ready to approve it, I can hit start and it'll just ignore it. So I set it to apply changes and it keeps that check mark. I can go down the line, I can do this, as many segments as I want at a time, and it'll approve it. Now notice that the M column has red X's going all the way down. So that's telling me that I cannot approve as a manager because I'm logged in as Charles Kane. I'm looking at Charles Kane's time. He can't approve his time. So his manager has to approve under the M column. Any questions about that?
Is there a way to select all of an entire column?
Let's see here. If I check this, notice that there's a checkmark on the far left.
Mm-hmm.
Press and hold the shift key and let's see to check this.
No, okay.
And then you have manage. It's actually exceptions, sorry. Exceptions and then employee approval.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to do that all at once, you can. Another way, whatever. But another way is if you click on the E check mark. If you just click on E, that'll approve it all the way down.
Okay.
So there's a lot of ways.
Got it.
Any more questions? All right, employees, that's it for y'all. So y'all can head out. There's an employee apps. And there's
Is that the logo that's going to be the
It's already on there. If you go to apps, for employees, it's the last 2 on the bottom.
Okay.
So the one on the left is the one that you would use to manage your time. The one on the right is if you want to request your time.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, so everybody left. Great.
Wow.
There's no one here. That's great.
I'm
So,
here.
Oh, you're here.
What
2 of you are here.
about
everybody.
remote? Do we have anyone remote still?
I'm afraid to look because I don't want to mess anything up. Okay, so approvers, managers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and talk to y'all. I am gonna go back to individual hours because there's one more thing I want to show you. But I just want to start from the beginning. When you log into the system, you're gonna see this dashboard. I zoomed out so you can kind of see the big picture, how it all looks like. But think of the dashboard as you can always think of it as the most important pieces of information that you'll need to look at in TimeClock Plus. So that could be approving time off, any leave requests, or any corrections that you have to make.
I have a question for Vicky. So all classifieds are punching the clock now?
No, the only people who are punching the clock, who would clock in and clock out, are the per diem level folks that already are doing it. So if they're using web time entry right now, they'll use the equivalent on their system.
Okay.
Unless we can schedule them. If we can schedule them, then that's great. We'll do that too.
What about my courier? My courier is a regular part-timer and she works standard stated hours from 8 to 12.
We'll have a schedule.
She might, that one I'll have to check because we do keep her in busy time, and she gets paid for that. So she's essentially an hourly employee, but she's never
I mean,
turned
if
in.
you,
I don't think she's turning in timesheets now.
Katie?
Katie, yeah.
Yeah, no, she's on the timesheet list. And
Oh,
we pay
okay.
her, she gets 25 hours a week.
Right,
There are occasions where she'll have extra time,
right.
but that's easily added in the system.
So she won't have to do this. She won't have to punch a clock, or she will.
She will not have to punch the clock. She'll have a schedule. She'll need to add her extra time.
Thank you, Juan. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, that's
I was just worried about the shock. I waited till most of the month. Oh my God, that's always been a sore subject of having over
No
the
one's
years.
gonna be punching in now.
Beautiful.
Very, very good.
As Doug would say, beautiful.
Exactly.
Well, it's better to know early, so. that's
Yeah.
good to know. All right, so the dashboard, important piece of information that you might need to know, like approving time.
Mhm.
I'm gonna zoom in here. I'm gonna zoom in over to the required approvals window. So just how it sounds like, this is punches, or these are punches, my English is terrible, that we require approvals, whether it's from you or by the employee. And here I have Charles Kane. It says that it needs a manager approval.
You have Rosebud in there anywhere?
No. Do it? No, I don't.
Thank you. You're the only.
Jeff Spicoli and Charles Foster
What, you haven't
Kane.
seen the other names yet.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Jim.
I
Thank
didn't
you.
want to. I didn't want to be a blab in front of. I assumed when you said Charles Kane, I went, "Is that Charles Foster Kane?" And I said, "Oh, okay." And it was Spicoli. Oh, dude. You know,
I
thank
think
you.
we're doing in the back.
Yeah. No, I caught it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all good.
I got
Who's
my
Professor Roy Hinckley? I'm trying to tie into that movie.
Just
Sorry.
concentrate on the first name, on the first.
Roy,
No,
Professor,
yes.
a professor,
Stop that.
and Mary Ann.
There you go.
Oh, I never knew him as other than just the professor.
I didn't
Cool,
know
there you
either.
go.
Oh my God.
And there's another character from that show in there,
I'll know.
but he'll get there.
I'll get that.
I'll get to it. But
Oh joy.
he's happy.
Yes.
So apart from approvals, there's also missed punches. So you're those that clock in and out. You know, now we're focusing on those that clock in and out. Sometimes they might forget to punch out once in a while. If that ever happens, they'll go through a process called missed punch. Essentially, how that happens is, let's say I forgot to clock out yesterday. I just went home or went back to the hotel. I didn't clock out. I come in today, and let's say I were to clock in, and I press the clock in button. The clock is kind of going to pause and say, well, it says here that you're clocked in yesterday at this time, and now you're trying to clock in again. You know, I'm missing a clock out, you know, in between. So it's going to ask you, it'll literally ask on the screen, did you forget to clock out? It'll tell them, it'll ask them. So then all the employee does is hit continue, and then the system's going to say, okay, this is what I'm going to show your manager. I'm going to tell them that you clocked in at this time, but you forgot to clock out. And if they're all right with that, all they do is hit continue. And when they do that, it's going to clock them out from yesterday, and it'll let them clock in for today. So it
And
does-
notify the manager at the same time.
It'll notify.
Okay.
So you'll get a window here just like this that says this person clocked in at this time on this date, but they forgot to clock out. And the employee is clocked in for today and they're working. So they'll go through the steps. So whenever you see employees here, that just means that you have to go in and correct it.
Sit on. Okay.
But as soon as you see this, you can correct them, and the sooner you catch them, the better. Because if you have those out there, it's been like a week, and payroll's almost due, then you don't want to go in scrambling and looking for those people, right? And then they don't even remember.
Yeah.
So the sooner the better. I'm gonna stick on this middle portion because there's two more things that I want to touch on. Conflicting segments. Hopefully you're not gonna see this as often. It's probably super rare that you're gonna see these. Conflicting segments happen when there's an overlap in time. Most common occurrences of overlap would be a user error. Let's take the administrative employees, for example. They're going in and changing their schedule and entering different times and punching in and out. Let's say for yesterday, they said that they were clocked in yesterday starting at 9, but they made a mistake and put that they clocked out at 5 p.m. today. So there's going to be an overlap with their other scheduled punch. And what's going to happen is the time clock plus is going to say, hey, there's an employee out there that has an overlap. I'm just gonna let you know. It's not gonna, throw in a siren. It's not gonna email, payroll. It's gonna just show you, here's this employee. They might have made a mistake. This needs to be corrected.
Is it a major production do you have to go and undo everything and then rebuild it, or how do you?
No, all you do is really kind of like how should those employees just double click and edit.
Oh, okay.
It's just that.
All right.
Now, who gets to edit it? It would be up to you. If you want to do it, great. Or you can just let the employee know and they'll fix it.
Hey, you boned it. You fix it.
Yeah. Below that, we have reminders. So this is your personal reminders. Like in this case, I had a doctor's appointment and I set it to October 17th. If I want to add more reminders in here, I can click on the blue plus sign and say, type in whatever. I have an appointment at 8 tomorrow, and then put tomorrow's date. So that's just for you. It's nothing specifically tied to TimeClock Plus. Now, towards the far right, we have pieces of windows that will show you overtime. So the top one is specifically for those that are close to hitting overtime. The threshold is around 2 hours. So as soon as they hit 38, it'll show up in here and say these people are getting close to overtime. And then from there, it kind of gives you a countdown. 2 hours, 1 hour, 15 minutes, 2 minutes. Until finally they hit that overtime, it'll move them down to the bottom window. And it'll say this person hit overtime on this day and around this time.
So that wouldn't set off an alarm unless you are in dashboard. It wouldn't be like a pop-up on your desktop that, hey, you better watch out, your guys are hitting overtime.
Exactly. It'll pop up on the dashboard.
But if I'm not in dashboard, I wouldn't necessarily see it.
Right. Just to let you know, we do have other pieces of information that you can use outside of TimeClock Plus. We have this, reports that you can run or you get sent via email.
It's rare that I would need it. I'm just thinking of our guys, particularly the physical plant, when we're in snowstorm season. I mean, we have guys literally sleeping overnight to be ready for storms.
Yeah. I know, I think it's physical plant that they need to get their hours pre-approved for overtime.
Right.
So, this would be good for them.
Okay.
So yeah, that's that area specifically for overtime. And then at the very bottom of the required approvals, the last thing I want to show here is the pending time off requests. So going back to what I was telling the employees, when you send out a request, their managers get a notification via email. So you'll get an email saying your employee requested on this day and for this many hours. You'll get that email. If you ignore those, you have this window that will list your employees that have requested time off. You'll see that information in here as well. And then later on, towards the end of the training, I'll show you how you can go in and approve or unapprove those requests. So I'll go ahead and show you that here in a little bit. But any questions about the dashboard?
No, I have a dashboard in our. Are you a SideQuest guy? Are you in SideQuest at all?
I'm in SideQuest, not very often.
Who are you? I'm Jim Locker.
Lane, D'Alessandro. I'm with the Academic Success Center.
Okay. We have an admin dashboard within our purchasing. So that's where I can go in and make changes or look at certain purchase approval levels. It's kind of neat, actually. So gotcha. Familiar with the term.
Okay, great. So in case you forget everything, once you start using the system, just know that one, it's the first thing you'll see when you log in, and two, probably the most important pieces would be required approvals and inspections.
And three, I didn't print them out yet, but I downloaded all your PDFs.
Oh, that's good.
For every aspect of it. I was going to print out my free binder and bring it, but I overslept today. Sorry.
That's good. All right, so that's the dashboard. That's the first thing that you're going to see. Just going back to the hours, individual hours. There we looked at Charles King. I'll look at Jeff.
So you can just jump into any person, okay?
What was that?
You can just jump into any person you're responsible for.
What was I going to say? I threw me in the loop.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna go back to what I was telling the employees, the admin employees. You do have the capability as a manager. You can go in, double click on a segment and make any corrections if need be. Like, let's take for example, an employee came into work. They came in on time and everything. They just came into work but didn't clock in. Maybe 2 hours later, they come up to you and say, "Oh, I forgot to clock in this morning. What do I do?" First, I would have them clock in, and it'll say that they're late, right? It'll say that they clocked in at 10 if they were supposed to come in at 8. But you can come in and
Adjust the hours back?
adjust the hours back. So you can come in and change, the start time.
Okay.
And then hit save, and then it'll tell them that they did start at 8. An extreme one would be they came into work, did everything, they came in early, but they just didn't clock in at all, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they barely tell you. By then, you don't want them to clock in and say they came in at 3. What you could do is add a punch for them. So you can click on the add button.
Not exactly the same, but I mean, it's gonna work.
That'll work too. But you can click on the add button, and it gives you the same window that we saw before, except this time it says add. The other one would say edit. But in here you can say, okay, this person was supposed to come in at 8. It still gives you a punch out. But if they're still here at work, you want them to punch out themselves, right? So to tell the system that they're still clocked in, all you do is check individuals clocked in the far left, and it says timeout, it says clocked in, and then when you hit save, it'll enter a segment. Now I can't because this person has a schedule and
Gotcha.
all that, but it'll say this person clocked in at 8 and they're still clocked in, and all the employee has to do is go out and punch out once they're going home. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the editing capabilities. You also have the option of, splitting segments and all that, similar to the employee. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Adding time, it shouldn't be that you have to do this ever so often. Every once in a while is nice because employees make mistakes.
Right.
But if it happens to be a habit, someone's coming up to you and saying, "I haven't punched in for 2 weeks, can you edit time?" Then yeah, that becomes an issue.
Well, our guys actually, I'm very close with the fiscal plant people, and I've actually had to leave messages on their timesheet. They have a board where there's messages from upstairs, but they literally have it. They still have that. Now, I don't know whether they have like a group leader who makes sure that everybody's punched in when they're there. But one of the young ladies that was sitting here earlier, she, I think, does Rosemary do the payroll or is it Kim?
Kim mostly,
Okay.
Kim and then Nicole Deborah.
Okay. But yeah, they still have the traditional,
Yeah. Whether or not, if they forget,
card or whatever.
yeah, whether or not they forget, then that's on.
No, I think they have,
They're already
doesn't they have a lead that makes sure they're all punched in if they're all there? Or do they actually do it themselves?
I think it's a combination of that and, sorry to say, the gals in the office.
Yeah.
They're keeping an eye on that, but they're doing it, and they're doing both punching in on the old clock and thumbing in on the new clock. They've been doing that for a few months.
Oh, I forgot that we got the
Yeah, and Kim had asked, should I order more cards? They come in 1,000 packs. I said,
No, don't do that. No.
So if it comes through to you, don't let it go.
Okay. I'll tell Kathy. And Kathy and Denise will come into the next session. So.
Great. But yeah, you do have editing capabilities. If it becomes an issue where people are coming in and saying, "Yeah, I haven't plugged in for a few days," we got to talk to them because they should be punching in, punching out. Those hourly people.
That will not be tolerated in this new system. If we have employees that are egregiously not punching in as they should be, there will be discussions. And same for managers, if they're not keeping track of their people's time, there will be discussions.
Well, I'm sure it's the same situation now. If it's a problem, yeah.
Well, this way we have a better.
Yeah, you have a better tracking for it. Yeah, makes sense.
So now I'm going to move on to the approval process and how that looks like. Now, right now we're in individual hours. It's great and all if it's an employee because they're looking at themselves, they can approve it from here. Managers, if you're looking at one person at a time, that's great and all too. If you're just focusing on that one person, But if you have like 200 people and you have to approve all 200, this page isn't all that great. We have another page though, and that is called group hours. So right next to individuals, we have group hours. And right now, it doesn't show all my employees that I have access to. That's because it's waiting on, if the state range that I have out here, it looks okay. If that's the week or the date range that I want. Right now, it just gives us an arbitrary number of September 9th. But eventually, once we get the ball rolling and the whole school's in here, this date range will show you the current pay period. So right away, it's going to show you this is the pay period. These are the hours for these employees.
So like January, she's gonna blow out a whole year's worth of hours, meaning you, right?
Not gonna blow anything out. We're gonna run it tandem for a little while. We're gonna switch over to the new.
Right.
Switch over to time.
No, when I blow, I didn't mean blow out, just say put it out there, like you send a sheet of the pay periods out. You're gonna do it in here.
Well, what would normally happen on here, and we're not seeing it now only because of the testing that's going on, the 2-week pay period would be the one that defaults in. I didn't close that out yet because we're in the middle of using the system for testing.
Gotcha.
As soon as payroll runs the pay, those will be switched over to the next pay period.
Gotcha.
So for the sake of this training, I'll just keep it as is. And I'm going to hit update. It doesn't matter which update button. Notice that we have a gray one and a blue one. It doesn't matter which one. Because both buttons will upload all my employees and their punches. So I can go down the list here. Now, approving, pretty similar to what I told the employees, but this time you're going to use the N. So check the N. You have the apply or discard buttons. And then rinse and repeat. Now, that being said, though, that's still slow if you have, 200 people. What you can do is you can click on this resolve period button, and it'll give you a list. I'm going to zoom out here so I can see that approve apply button. But you have a list in here of things that you can approve. The only piece that we would need, or the most important piece out here, would be the manager approval. Everything else you can kind of ignore. So what I'm going to do, just to show you, Jeff, not Kane, but Jonas, their punches haven't been approved yet. So I'm going to click on resolve period, manager approval, put a dot on the approved option, hit apply, and it's going to go out there and approve everything all at once. Now, I do get this message, and basically this message just means there's punches out there that you can't approve, but that's okay because there's somebody out there that needs to approve them.
So there's a layer below me that has to do it first, or the individuals themselves have to do it
the
first?
individuals themselves, or in the case of Charles King, since I'm logged in as him, I can't approve.
Oh, you can't
his
approve
hours.
yourself, okay, right.
Right, so his boss has to approve. But with Roy, notice that it says that he has hours out there you can't approve. That's because he's working at a different job. So it's probably a job that you're not supervising.
But another guy.
Another guy.
Okay.
So he has to approve his hours.
Could we see the summary for someone's hours? So for example, if someone worked 20 hours a week, just a flat 20
Right.
somewhere.
Yes, exactly. So you can see those hours. So let me close out of here. By the way, those are my check marks.
Mm-hmm.
Just to scroll down, there's Charles. I have red X's because I'm logged in as him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If I scroll down and look at Roy, so those are the punches that I didn't approve. But you can see that he worked as an advisor. So you do see those hours in there. So if he works at a different department from yours, you can see those punches, but you just can't approve.
Okay.
Missed. Oh, what is missed?
Yes, Ms. That's something I kind of skipped over, but let me go back into individual hours.
What I mean for the group hours, is can we see the total number of hours in that pay period that someone had? Or do you have to just add up each day?
Let me go back. Sorry, let me.
No, address this first, that's fine.
Let me update everybody here. So,
Because usually the way I would imagine doing it is going by the total number of hours they were supposed to have worked.
yeah, notice that for this week.
Okay, so there's week totals. Okay, that works. Thank you.
So let me go back to individual, look at Roy. Where are you, Roy? There it is. So missed, remember that the employee
We forgot to
clock out.
clock out. Okay.
So to correct it, really all you would have to do is similar to any correction, double click, change the out time. Now notice right now it says miss, but when I double click on it, it doesn't know what's put, so it just says, okay, I'm just gonna put in the clocking time. And then from there, all you have to do is change it.
Change it to the appropriate time.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to do this because I have to reset it every time for the trainings, but once you correct it, it'll turn green. Green just means that it's been corrected and the employee's going to get paid for the time.
So we'll still show as missed, but we'll show as an adjusted miss.
Right. Oh, cool. So blue just means no one's touched it
It
yet.
still needs to be addressed, and then green means it's fixed, but it's giving you a note that he missed, and you can say, hey, dude, here you missed.
Right.
I fixed it, but okay, that's good. That's a good idea.
So jumping back to group hours.
Oh, they're not here.
Yeah,
It's just us two now.
They just walked off.
Well, I was going to run down those people that I know as your Hollywood connections. Jonas Grumby's the skipper. Jeff Spicoli was in.
You got it.
He was the stoner. Wesley Crusher, Live Long and Prosper. Chris Kraft was the head of NASA. Neil Armstrong was Neil Armstrong. Roy, that was the skipper. Dagwood Bumstead was a cartoon and TV character. Hey, Blondie, he was the husband of Blondie.
Yeah.
Hey, Blondie. He was always in the late 50s, early 60s. It was a TV show where he was always crashing into stuff. Who else is up there? Yeah, it was a TV show as well in the 50s and 60s. Because my mother used to watch it when I was a kid. Trying to remember the girl that played Blondie was real great hair, even in black and white television. Dagwood Bumstead was literally somebody who tripped and fell and crashed into stuff. Yeah. It's sort of like a precursor of the Dick Van Dyke Show, which you're probably too young to remember.
Yeah.
Who else was up there?
I think that's everybody. Well, everyone that
Charles Foster Kane was from the movie Citizen Kane. Yes, Rosebud. That's what he used to say. When I saw Spicoli, I went, nah, he wouldn't be doing that, would he? And then when I saw Charles Foster Kane, I went, oh, we got the Hollywood connection. I'm in a trivia group. Well, my friend's church, they have a fundraiser every year.
Yeah.
And it's a trivia night. And so and this guy's professional trivia. He goes from school to school, and we're going for our third straight year this year. We're called, even though I'm no longer Drinkers Not Thinkers is the name of our team, and I'm the Holly.
Everybody.
I don't drink anymore. I did. I'm the political Hollywood and history, but we have a music specialist, we have a math specialist. We have a just generalist, and it's just it started as fun, and then a couple of years we came in second place, and everybody said, "You should be up to me." So we started studying, and then we recruited somebody. Oh, hell no, get her in there. So are we good?
There's a few more things.
I'm sorry. I thought you were when you said that's it.
No, that's it.
For the dashboard.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna touch on a few things.
No, my time is yours. Go ahead.
Get on the here. So employee, that's just gonna show you a list of employees that you have available.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we have everyone campus wide here, you're only gonna see reports. These are reports that you can run. I'm not gonna get into these because we're gonna be here forever. But to run a report, but to run a report, you can go in and play around with them. It's not gonna break anything.
Mm-hmm.
You just click on whatever report you want. Specify what date range you want or pay period. You can click preview and it'll open up a window with that report, how it looks like. If you want to download it, you can make a PDF.
Right. Beautiful.
This is nice because if you're not on your desk all the time, you can print this out, have it on your desk. So every once in a while, if you're free, you can check what you can improve or what you got to correct. So.
Well, I know that we were talking about Kim, who works in physical plant. That list of reports will be very helpful, huh?
Yeah, and this is just one category. There's other reports out there that they can look at. Whether they need it or not, they're there.
Well, they have some legacy applications, I think, that were part of Holly.
Yeah.
But again, blending the two she might see something on that list, that'll replace this other thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of schools see that. They say, oh yeah, this kind of looks like this report that I used to run, or it kind of looks like my spreadsheet that I have, and they just use that
spreadsheets
report.
galore here.
That's what I've heard.
Oh, that's when we started historically. I mean, 25 years ago, 15 years ago, when we were mainframe for the first 5 years that I worked here. I mean, when we went to Kali, that was like, oh my God, that is like to go outside to bring in software development.
Yeah.
The COBOL guys were like, holy shit, we actually have to get a job now. You know?
A couple more things and then I'll let y'all go. Tools menu, request manager. So this is a place where you go in and approve or deny people's leave.
Got it.
So this looks pretty similar to what we saw on the employees, the calendar. There's Jeff. If you have more people requesting time, like, Dagwood, and then some other guy comes in here and requests it the same day, you'll see a list of those people on that day.
Okay.
Really, to approve or deny, you can right click and select, those two options at the bottom. So if I want to,
You have no request.
You're out. Go on.
I never saw that. But yeah, let's say I deny it. It turns orange. Okay. So the employee now gets a message saying your day, your request for this day is denied.
That's why he's deleted. I'm kidding.
But yeah, that's all you would have to do, double click. You can also, double click on this and it'll show more info in case you want to look at it. Especially, you know that guy has been leaving for quite a while and their balance might be depleted. You can see if they still have enough hours. So you can see it from that. Last thing, employee status. This is useful if you want to monitor your employees. You want to see if they're in or out or if they're taking lunch break. So right now, this is the Alt tab. This will show you everybody. The Clocked In tab will show you people that are currently clocked in. Right now, Roy here, he just has a regular punch. He's clocked in. He's working since 8:30. If anyone works more than 8 hours, it shows up in green. So it's just letting you know, hey, someone's working here longer than 8, but it might be a long day for them. Someone shows up in blue, it means that they're working for more than 12 hours. So unless it's security or they're a safety client working in the boiler, then it's pretty safe to assume that they might have forgotten to clock out. What's nice about that, if you catch those, is you can right click and clock out. With the exception of, he's under advisor, so
you can't do it.
I can't do it for him. But for anyone that's working for you, if you know that they left, you saw them walk out, you can right click, clock them out. What's great about that is that removes a lot of missed punches for you. So if you catch them on time, that's less missed punches to work on, that's less headaches.
Makes sense.
So that's the Clocked In tab. On break shows you people that are on lunch, and it also show you how many minutes on lunch there are. Not in, people that are not clocked in the system. So here's Jonas Dagwood, they're just regular people that are clocked out. And these three, they have something special on them, they have a yellow dot. That's because they have a schedule, and according to their schedule, they're supposed to be at work, but they're not. So they're absent. Kind of redundant, because the next one is the absent tab. So it shows you those same people. On leave, if the employee took leave, vacation, sick, it'll show up on this list for today. If they come in the next day, you come up to this list, they're not going to show up here. It's only for those that are taking leave today. Last punch was the last thing that the employee did in the software. So the first few up there, that was their last punch in or that they're clocked in. The last 3, they're not punching in or out yet, so they don't show up. Hours tab, it's a mix of both of a few things in the tab, like whether they're clocked in or out, what was their last punch. What's unique about this piece here is it'll show you how many hours they have now, not only for today, but for the week. Now, since we have people that have schedules, what's also useful is it will show you as the week goes by, as the day goes by. So those people that are punching in and out, it'll show you the total for that week up until today or up until the present date. So like if it's Wednesday, it'll show you hours for this Wednesday or up until this Wednesday. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, this page is close to being real time. So if you have this open, you leave for 5 minutes, come back, something might have happened at that time. So all you have to do is click refresh and it'll update all that information.
Does it refresh on its own?
It doesn't refresh on its own.
Okay.
There's probably a good thing for that.
Yeah. In our old system, it did it, but holy crap, it was
It's just
like,
everyone does it.
Yeah, it just ate up a lot of time. So that way, just let it, on your own, quick refresh.
What do you mean? Yeah, that's easy enough. That's fine.
Right. And that's pretty much it for the whole setup. TimeClock Plus. Any questions?
No.
Should be good.
Yeah.
All right, great. So I don't know if Vicky told y'all, but currently payroll, HR, and IT are testing it out. Security, they're successfully using it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those three, they're testing it out, and then in a few months, she's gonna go by to the other departments and ask a few questions, make sure she has the right people. She also wants to have kind of like a substitute manager. So if you're not here, there's somebody else that can go into it.
How many people could be substitute managers? Because I know at my department we have 2 assistant directors and the director.
That, I don't know. Because our system, we can have as many managers as we want, but who you're going to be subbing for, I'm not sure. If I remember right, I know she has kind of a system going with kind of like requesting a sub or something like that.
Okay.
So,
I mean, if we can just do all 3 of us, that way I can take my people, they can take their people in the center. It's easier.
right.
That way somebody who's not really managing my side doesn't have to ask me a couple other questions.
Right. Yeah, I think it's kind of automated where if someone's subbing for you, then they'll automatically get your employees.
Yeah.
And once you come back, they'll remove access for them and you'll get them.
Okay.
Vicky's pretty good, and she's been here a long enough time where she knows that.
Yeah, I'm sure she can.
landscape. She'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can talk to her when she comes around to our department.
Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna come around the department and ask some questions.
I know my department's gonna be weird already.
Yeah, tutor, I forgot who. John, do you know who we talked to?
Probably Nicole.
Nicole? Yeah.
Probably. Nicole.
Oh, from the.
Tutoring center, academic success center now.
Yeah, we talked to her because there was something about employee punches.
Yeah,
just
we
had to
use a
figure it
different
out.
system.
Yep.
Called that.
Tutor track.
Tutor track.
Yep.
That they had signed it in and out of already, so we're just
Yeah.
hoping we can put it in.
Yeah, we're trying to set up an idea of how exactly that'll look like. More than likely, the employees will get the capability of changing their time. Because
That would be so nice.
because Nicole wants it rounded, but Tutor Track does it rounded. So they have to go and manually say, okay, even though it says I came at 8:05, it was actually supposed to be 8.
So
Yeah.
all the tutor track is doing is saying, I'm this employee and I'm here.
Yeah.
And it's not giving us anything else. And what she's telling us is we need a lot of other information.
We need a ton of information.
Right. So tutor track is not doing it for us. So it's how do we mesh the two between
Okay.
TimeClock and
It would have been easy if they just clocked in and out, but since you use Tutor Track for a lot of things,
Yeah.
so,
This should be a way to do it.
Yeah, we're trying to prevent the double punching. Like I got to punch in on tutor track and I have to punch in on TimeClock.
Exactly. That's kind of.
Yeah. So we were talking about importing. The first step is making sure we can get that import of that time from tutor track.
And then modify
And then
it.
if we can, import that on a daily basis, and then they can go back the next day to modify it. They can't modify it the same day.
I'll let you